Today's video is brought to you by Card Kingdom, and right now you can get this sweet Scoop Soldier sticker when you order over at cardkingdom.com. Just mention in your order notes that you want a Scoop Soldier sticker when you go to checkout. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and today we have a super special, super fun video. We are talking basic lands, and I kind of consider myself, I'd say, a connoisseur of basic lands. I love digging through basic lands, finding the most unique basic land arts, finding the coolest basic lands, and one comment I get a lot on videos or streams is like, hey, that land is really cool, what sets that from? So I thought maybe we should do a video and talk about, in my opinion, this is incredibly subjective, and I'm not a art critic or anything like that, very far from it, but in my opinion, the best basic lands in all of Magic. And the reason basic lands are so important, and I think so exciting, is because they're really cheap. All the lands we're going to talk about today are non-promo. They are in just normal sets, which means they're really inexpensive, and that means that lands are one of the cheapest ways and easiest ways to bling out your deck. If you want to show up at your LGS or your playgroup for Commander Night and kind of turn heads, but you don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on VIP booster showcase cards or Mythic Edition Planeswalkers, one of the easiest ways to do that is basic lands, and it's a great way of like customizing and blinging out your deck that doesn't cost a ton of money. So I don't know how this is going to go. As I said, I'm not an art critic, so I'm not going to be able to give you some like in-depth art analysis, but we're going to go color by color through the 5 colors of Magic and talk about what I think are the 5 best basic lands for each color. It's got the set on there, it's got the artists on there, you should be able to find them pretty easily, even got the prices on there if you want to pick them up, bling out your decks. And once we're done, let me know what your favorite basic lands are. I'm sure most of you have a basic. I will warn you, one last thing, and then we're jumping into the countdown. One last thing, I will warn you, I have a bias towards old border cards. In general, when it comes to basic lands, I try to play old border stuff. It's just a personal preference thing. However, I did try to be a little unbiased and include some new border stuff that I think is appealing as well. But you will see a lot of old border stuff on here. Anyway, let's talk about cheap bling, the 5 best basic lands, non-promo basic lands of each color, starting with Forest. And Forest, we have number 5 on our list, Mirage. And I have to say, one of the things I look for in basic lands is something that is unique, something that sets that land apart. And a waterfall in a forest, especially a sweet jungly forest like we see in Tony Roberts' Mirage Forest, is definitely one of those things, which puts it at number 5 on our list. Number 4 on our list, this is just a weird one, the Invasion Alan Pollock Forest. It's got these weird, like, bulbous roots, fast and bulbous, if you're a Captain Beefheart fan. But again, something is just unique and makes it different than every typical forest where it's a bunch of trees. Like, this one catches your eyes. It's going to make people, you know, look a second time when you play it on the battlefield in your Commander game. Coming at number 3 on our list, we have a new land, actually, Ikoria land. I really like the glowingness of this land. I know it's new border, so points off for being new border, but just based on art alone, definitely a super unique forest. Number 2 on our forest list, and I will say Urza Saga, all their forests are really good. They all look kind of similar. This like weirdly shaped trees, some nice pastel-y colors. So this is my favorite of the cycle, but any of the Urza Saga forests are really good. And number 1 on our list, oh man, I think this is a forgotten land. The non-snow covered basic forest from Ice Age. It's got this beautiful sun. This is the most traditional of the forests we've talked about. I think for me, it's the sun that sticks out. Also, the whiteness of it. We talked about before, like forests, they tend to be really green. You just got a bunch of trees. Well, we still have a bunch of trees, and we got the firs in the background, but the main trees are like these white ash trees, which makes it very different than the just like super flooded with green forests we see most of the time. So those are my 5 favorite forests. Let's move on, talk about islands, and controversial pick to start things out, the Bull Island from Zendikar. I mean, the Bull Island, it's iconic. People either love or hate this card. I love it. I love how it turns the idea of an island essentially on its head. Rather than having a bunch of water around a land, in this case you have the water inside the land, which inverts the entire idea of what an island is. So if you're someone that hates it, That's fine. I know this is a controversial pick, but I am a big fan of Vincent Price's Bull Island. Coming in at number 4, we have this nice tropical island from Therese Nielsen in Invasion, and this one, I don't know. It just looks like a place I'd like to hang out. You got the nice beach, you got the palm trees. Like, out of all the islands in Magic, if I could just go on vacation and hang out there for like a week or two, I think it's this Invasion Island that would be number 1 on my list. Number 3 on our list, we have Lorwyn Island, and Lorwyn basic lands are criminally underrated. Out of all the New Border sets, Lorwyn might be top tier, number 1 overall land, and the reason is they just have spectacular colors. We talked about in forests, how they tend to just be really green. Well, islands tend to be really blue for the most part, but this one you have all of the colors of these flowers, you have this waterfall. It's just a really beautiful, vibrant picture from Ron Spears. Coming in at number 2 on our list, we have the Onslaught Lighthouse Island. In this one, the landscape itself, it's fine. It's not especially appealing, but there aren't really many islands in Magic that have lighthouses in them. And that's one of the things I look out for when I'm searching through basic lands, is just something unique that sets it apart. And a lighthouse is definitely one of those examples. Maybe you got like a lighthouse themed commander deck or something. This would be the perfect option for that deck. Finally, number 1, the best island in Magic, the Urza's Saga Lightning Island. Like, if the colors were changed on this, I would believe it was a mountain. It's kind of got the lightning bolt red feel to it, but it's like this lightning storm out at sea, which is just absolutely spectacular. One of my favorite ones, by far one of the most unique islands that we have of all of Magic, which brings it in at number 1 on our island list. Moving on to mountains. Coming in at number 5 on our mountain list, we have Onslaught. And Onslaught actually has some really good mountains altogether. They all have this like goblin theme. Apparently, like, that's where the goblins live, I think, in Onslaught, in those caves, and it's got all these walkways, but definitely a different take. Mountains typically have mountains, but this is like a close-up. You get to see a little mountains in the backup, but it's more of a close-up of like where the goblins live in this mountain, which sets it apart from most of the mountains in Magic. Coming in at number 4, I don't know why I like this one, the Destruction Mountain from Hour of Devastation. I think it's just because it's different. Like, how is it even a mountain? I don't see any mountain there. You see Nicol Bolas's horns kind of smashed down. You see like a rundown building, but there's no actual mountain. But I think that's what I like about it, that it's so much different than the typical mountain of Magic. Coming in at number 3, this is like a candy mountain. I always think of the Red Rock Candy Mountains whenever I see this. It looks like candy colored. It looks like some sort of Christmas special, holiday special, where you're gonna have like Frosty the Snowman and Santa Claus and all that stuff. That looks like where they would live, but the Magic Mountain version of it from this Odyssey Mountains from Franz Vollwinkle. Coming in at number 2 on our list, we are back to Ice Age. In Ice Age, mostly people think about the snow-covered basics from the set, but the non-snow-covered basics, I think, are even better. This one's just really weird. It's like, is that even a mountain? Like, what is going on in this? You see a lot of snow. I guess those are kind of mountain-esque, but definitely another unique one. And then, oh my god, number 1 on our list, and this one is just unbeatable. It's in a tier all by itself. John Avon's Mirage Mountain, and it's very traditional. It's very mountainy. It's very red. The colors are spectacular. You got the sunrise. It's like you're waking up in some like tropical location. The sun is rising. You get all this red. It is spectacular. For me, by far the number 1 non-promo mountain in all of Magic. Moving on to Plains. This Plains is one I kind of forgot about. Only 25 cents. It's super cheap, so maybe everyone forgot about it. But that is the Shadowmoor Larry McDougal Plains. And this Plains, it's like haunted and creepy. And I think that's why I love it. It's so different than a typical Plains. Plains tend to be cheery, kind of fields and sunshine and bright yellows. This one, it's like a horror story. Like, it's very, very creepy and weird. And I think that really sets it apart. So if you're building some sort of like Halloween themed deck and you need a Plains for it, or you just like creepy Plains, Shadowmoor is definitely one to keep in mind. Moving on to number 4, I had to cheat here. The Mirage lands are all super good, but for Plains in specific, I had to show off all 4 of them, because what sets apart the Mirage Plains is the animals in the plains. You have the, like, Oasis Plains, where you just kind of got this big landscape. You have the Zebra Plains, you have the Water Buffalo, I think it is, Plains, you have the Bird Plains. They're all spectacular. They're all amazing. I go back and forth depending on my mood, but if you're playing some sort of animal-themed deck, maybe you're playing a meal, unicorns, and you want the Zebra Plains. Maybe you're playing Bird Tribal, and you want the Bird Plains. So I think which one you want depends on what deck you're building and your mood for the day, but they are all super, super awesome. Moving on to number 3 on our list, we have a core set Plains, the Ryan Panko's core set 2021 Plains. And this one, I love how you kind of get these mixed emotions. You have these beautiful daisies, but it's also really dark. Like, it would be very easy for this art to be very bright, very typical Plainsy, but the darkness, it's like a thunderstorm rolling over this beautiful field of flowers. And that tension, I think, is really what makes it for me. If you had the same art and it was just very bright like a typical Plains, I don't think I'd be that interested in it. But I really love how the darkness of it kind of subverts the typical bright flowery theme that you see with most Plains. Moving on to number 2 on our list, Edward P. Beard Jr.'s Masks Plains, and this is definitely one of the more unique Plains. It's a desert. It's got a crazy tornado, and then it's got, I don't know, is that a house in the beginning? Like the roof of a house or something? What in the world is happening in this place? But this is definitely one of the weirdest Plains that exists. The tornado really does it, though. If it was exactly the same with Nor Tornado, whatever, it'd be fine. It'd still be like a cool deserty looking Plains. But it's that massive tornado coming right at you that, again, Plains are usually happy, like these luscious fields of flowers and grain growing. This is like a little bit dangerous for a typical Plains, which is why I love it. Coming in at number 1 on our Plains list, speaking of different for a Plains, and maybe I got to think for lightning on basic lands, especially lightning on non-mountain basic lands, because normally I associate lightning with like Lightning Molten Red. This is, I don't know, the thunderstorm over the plains. From Eric Peterson in Odyssey, you have like one scraggly tree. I think there's someone standing under the tree, but then you just have like this crazy lightning storm going on in the background, which makes it spectacular. Of course, apparently people realize this. I didn't realize this is up to $2.19. Apparently this is an in-demand Plains because of its uniqueness, but can't really blame people for buying it because there is no other Plains like this in all of Magic. Moving on to swamps, we start off with Portal Themed Kingdoms, and this is what I almost didn't add to the list because it is a little bit expensive. It is technically a normal Magic set, so it fits our non-promo criteria, but at $5 a copy, it is a little bit steep, but I think the gravestone is really sweet. That's what kind of does it. You have this like rotted out tree, you have this flooded out gravestone, so it is definitely a super interesting flavor for a swamp, although, as I said, a little bit on the high end price-wise. Moving on to number 4 on our list, we have another new card, and I actually think this is spectacular. I wish it was in an older set, but this is the Throne of Eldraine glowing lanterns in dark trees plane, I guess I would say. I wish it was an old border. If we had this art in old border, it would rank even higher on the list. But even dealing with the new border, really sharp looking planes and super, super cheap because it's brand new and still in print. Moving on to number 3 on our swamp list, back to the world of Lorwyn. We talked about it before with Forest, was it, or Islands? Lorwyn has just amazingly unique basic lands. They're so unique and so amazing that I can even get past the border issue. Like, that's a swamp. It definitely looks like a swamp. You can see the swamp down there. You can see some trees, but look at the colors. Normally swamps are just dreary and black and scary, but this looks like a swamp where I'd like to like go and hang out. Kind of like a psychedelic swamp. Just such a unique flavor for Lorwyn basic lands in general, which brings it in at number 3 on our list. Moving on to number 2. Oh, another beautiful one. For me, this one's all about that one flower. You got this one beautiful pink lily, whatever it is. I don't know, I'm not a flower guy. But one beautiful flower in this kind of like washed out area. You got this swamp. It's all gross and dreary, but there can be something beautiful growing even in that harsh environment. So the story of that swamp and that flower, it really sets it apart. Moving on to number 1. Oh, this might be my single favorite basic land, non-promo basic land in all of Magic. For any color, no debates about it. What an amazing Awesome swap for Bob Eagleton. I know I've talked about how I like unique things, and this one, it's just beautiful. Like, it's very traditional. It looks like a real swamp. You got the sunrise over the swamp, but it is spectacular. The trees are great. The sunrise is great. It's much brighter than a typical Plains because you have the kind of the wash of the sun coming at you. So I just love this land. I love Mirage lands in general. If you take one thing away from this, Mirage lands are really good, but there's a bunch of other really amazing basic lands, and that brings us to the end of our list. That is my 5 favorite basic lands from every color in Magic, 25 in all. So let me know what you think. Do you play any of these lands? What's your favorite basic land? What else could be added to the list? Are there any other tricks you have to blinging out your decks without spending a lot of money? Let me know that in the comments as well. Thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.